Okay, replay review time. This is going to be Zen and Lifeweaver. There's some time left over, so maybe some Illari. We'll see how fast we get through this. What do you hope to get out of the session? Things to keep in mind while I play my character. Some tips on how to avoid going back to habits and playing more actively while thinking about which move is possibly the best, knowing how to contribute to my team and my best weaknesses and strengths. So, focusing obviously on one thing at a time per game is very useful, I find, just so that you can really give it your full attention. And then I also really like to mix those things up. These are things I've talked about in some of my earlier reviews, but yeah, I just mix things up constantly. Every game I'm always trying and practicing a new skill, depending on comp, depending on map. That way it kind of keeps practice fresh and in my brain. And everyone, I don't need to see a source of measurable improvement necessarily, although I do think that's important to track that if you can. But I do think it's nice to, as long as I'm giving it my full attention, to just trust that the process will improve itself. So what that means is not necessarily practicing a specific asset or a specific aspect of your positioning or mechanics or whatever for over a week or weeks and months until it's mastered. That's not really how learning is best done, because it gets boring and it's really hard to know when to stop. So just give it your full attention when you're playing, whatever it may be, whether it's something that you're working on with your positioning or cooldowns or whatever, and then move on the next game. You know, mix it up. So, okay. At the time of the form, this was gold, 3 to 12 hours per week. Okay, that's a lot of variance in playtime. So this is a replay review, so we don't talk as much about outside of the game habits and so on, but it is worth pointing out that that might be something that could come back to bite you in terms of consistency. Goals are long-term hitting diamond. Masters is also cool. And I would like to understand the game's heroes into deeper levels, practicing the fundamentals, and be able to commit to my characters. Okay. I'm having a hard time applying the theory to the gameplay. I can understand the fundamentals, but in-game I quickly go back to old habits. Well, you need consistent, focused playtime. You need to be, whether that's consistently playing an hour a day, narrowing your hero pool. You do have a relatively wide hero pool, 5 heroes, it looks like. I know I'm sure that priority would be on Zenyatta Lifeweaver, but there's still a couple other characters that it can be hard to make progress with habits if you're pulling yourself in a lot of different directions, especially if you're not playing consistently. I would recommend writing down the things that we're going to focus on, the points that we're going to focus on, and keeping them near your monitor. And every game, get up, walk around, queue pops, look at your list, be like, what do I want to practice this game? Try to work on it for as many team fights as you can remember and mix it up as much as you'd like. Also, I'm an anxious person. I tend to panic a lot during games. Totally fine. That's why we focus on the simple things. I think when we talk about like anxiety, overconfidence, underconfidence, the solutions to a lot of those things is the same thing that I would tell a player without anxiety. That's why we focus on simple things, so that if you're anxious about a lot of things, you can kind of just focus on one aspect and let everything else go to crap. It doesn't matter. If you're underconfident, that's okay. It doesn't matter if you're underconfident. Just focus on your angles or focus on your cover. Those things can definitely be ankle weights, but the same way that you get faster if you were wearing ankle weights is the same way that you'd get faster without wearing ankle weights. So you don't necessarily need to change the approach entirely. You can adjust and play to your strengths. And if you're feeling more anxious someday, maybe don't play for quite so long or don't train for quite so long. But I think you train as if it doesn't matter if I'm an anxious person. I'm here to train Overwatch, regardless of the result or not. And I think when you create an environment like that, it can help you to feel a little bit more impersonal. And I think that's a good thing with training sometimes. I think that sometimes we can feel a little bit like our own personal shortcomings are these major problems, and it's not necessarily the case. So, you are just as capable of improving as anybody else. I am a student, so there are many weeks or days where I can barely play and my progress is inconsistent. So that kind of explains the inconsistent play time. The best expression of consistency when you have very little time is to play to minimum effective dosage. So this is something that is being researched very heavily right now within the fitness sphere, and it applies to really anything, which is if you do nothing, queue up a single game of Overwatch if you have time. Or maybe go in and aim train and vac stuff for 10 or 15 minutes. Whatever you have time for, give that time. And if you don't have a lot of time, then that's fine. But that's often better than entirely skipping days. And if you have to skip a day, try to not skip 2 days in a row before you play a game or do some aim training. So that would be my recommendation. Sink your teeth into consistency wherever you can interpret it. Even if it's like the one freaking game or a freaking death match just to keep your mechanics warm, or whatever you have time for or whatever you're capable of doing, that's all that should be demanded, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's take a look here. So this is Zenyatta and Lifeweaver. two very different characters. Zenyatta and Lifeweaver both benefit from sightlines, but that's kind of where the similarities end. Damage and healing balance like all supports, but a great deal of it is more range, angle, consistent pressure with Zenyatta. Lifeweaver has a little bit more responsibility to heal, and also to proactively think about what sort of threats might be happening in the moment. We'll focus on the Zenyatta aspect right now. I'm going to assume that you have a general familiarity of what Zenyatta ought to be doing and can be doing, and so we'll focus on where that discrepancy between what you should know, or at least I would assume that you would know, versus what you're actually doing. So if there's anything that I say that doesn't quite click or doesn't quite make sense, just let me know and we'll be happy to clarify, or I'll be happy to clarify when and where you could be improving your understanding here. So long sightline here, this is fine. Good use of cover, prevent the Freya from finishing off that kill. I like the angle here, this is good. Good Harmony Orb, good Discord Orb, good positioning, good sightline. Good cycle of the Harmony Orb there as well. Good use of cover. You can easily deal with this. And this looks really good. So this looks immediately better than gold so far. So maybe you've ranked up since then, or maybe this is just a spicy game and we're just ego VODing. That's kind of a joke. I haven't really had a truly ego VOD in a long time. So this is too close. This fight's probably won. But getting traded here allows for a recontest, and it would be really unnecessary, and it's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah, just a little bit of hubris from you. You got a little bit excited. It's okay to be more aggressive, but you really don't want to put yourself in the middle of the open during these moments. Now, are you the reason why you lost? Yeah, probably not. Your team kind of trolled. Like, let's look at this here. That's a Spylo moment on Genji if I ever saw one. But yeah, you just need to hold your angle, hold your space, and don't int yourself in the middle of the open in an otherwise one fight. Nice skin choice. This skin has been my player icon for, gosh, 7 years, 6-7 years. Haven't changed it. The GOAT original Overwatch skin before mythics were a thing. Lend me some Cthulhu. Never read it. Feel like I probably should have. This sightline's good. A little sloppy with cover at the start there, but we've kind of fixed it. Let's open up our sightline, and no more charging of alt fire. Once you have an angle and a good sightline, unless there's something that's actively threatening your life in that moment, you really just want to be using your primary fire. Spam as much as you possibly can. It almost doubles your DPS. It's fine, just trance it. Good stuff. And then let's end it disciplined. End it disciplined. I don't mind this here. I wouldn't have minded you to open the angle on the right near fire truck, but this is okay. Oh my days, it's been nice knowing y'all. Okay, I think surely we cap this. We don't. Frick. Wait, we do. What? That's kind of why I would have liked the angle here instead of stacking with your backline. Hold the position here. Just don't allow one source of pressure to get both supports. Keeping a sightline under your on is nice, and at least you weren't in the open here. It is a little bit unlucky, like, let's not lie here. But this one, still technically opening up the angle would have prevented that death, and that is a good principle to have. That's not hindsight coaching. That's just how Zenyatta should be played. Harmony Orb needs to be used here. Sure, she's dead, and surely we cap now. Surely. Yes, we do. Yep. A little bit more respect here. I wouldn't even be on point here even now, but I think you'll probably get away with it. But I keep saying that, you know? You'll be fine. No. You'll be fine. No. So even in gold, plat, whatever rank this is, little things occasionally go wrong. It's why you're never going to be punished for playing perfectly. You're never going to regret playing perfectly and respecting the enemy. For example, this is just silly, right? Like you are like, oh, I'm going to get in cart, you know, but you're not opening your sight line. You're not opening an angle. You didn't know that she was there, but somebody might be there. What if the Kiriko pops Kitsune here, right? What if the Tracer had pulse bomb and before she died, there's no reason for you to be here. So I want you to take a moment here. And when you had downtime to think about your angle here, where would you go? Let's focus on two things, cover and range. But I don't care about the risk or the reward. I want you to give me something that's either risky but provides a reward for the risk, or that's not risky and provides a little bit of reward. So here, maybe the backup point, a much more passive position, a much more passive angle, less surprise, or drop, rotate with your Doomfist Genji, so that yes, I might get caught out, but at least I'll have a good sightline, and honestly, better cover than where we're at right now. There's no upside for this whatsoever. There's no aggressive upside. There's no defensive upside. There's nothing. There's just death. The endless void. This angle is good. Much more passive. You could open up your angle on the right if you'd like to, but there is very little risk for the reward, which means it's a relatively positive position. I say that, but you were rotating forward. It's a little bit unfortunate. It's a good old go next. But at least it cost her something, right? She had to use a cooldown, and then she had to use an ultimate, and then in theory, you still could have maybe lived that if you'd had trance. So it's okay. Wouldn't mind you opening up your angle on the right side again here, just to open your sightline for better damage, and to do so quickly and decisively. So to do so quickly all the way to this corner here, and then all the way to this corner here, and then to here, and then to rotate from there, opening up your sightline. There's no Widowmaker here, so you can do this, but because at least you have cover, but there's no real reason not to open up your sightline here. And you notice when you rotate, it's always kind of halfway. It's not fully committed to the corner. It's kind of away from the angle, but still in open space. And so that means that, you know, she hits one shot there, you might even have to trance this. So you're simultaneously risking your life too much by hovering in the middle and not doing enough damage because you're not opening up your sightline enough. So even right here, this is not where you want to be. So consistently sloppy rotations from you. I would say maybe decent initial starting positions, but as these fights evolve, you always end up in the open. You could be here, you could be hard flanking here, at least you'd get your trance forced, honestly. But this is going to be a trance that just feels like, what aggression from the Indian team forced that trance? Diva sitting on cart? That just, there wasn't really a whole lot of need to trance that if you're positioned properly. Whereas here, it's expensive if we'd had our trance, but we don't. So, definite positional weakness for you. Definite positional weakness. A lot of floating in the open, neither for an aggressive angle or a defensive sightline. Just floating. Like right here. Don't go to cart. Take top. Take a sightline up top. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There it is. That was good. And then this is a good power sightline, right? We've got vision. We can hear if they flank us on the right. Wouldn't mind Harmony Orb here on my Genji. Or Juno. Whatever's fine. This is fine. Now, are you being pushed? Yeah, just a little bit faster tracking. You're not as familiar with this character. But like for Freya to do this, for example, meant that she had to use one cooldown and put herself in a position where if you're quicker to respond and ready for this, you can absolutely dunk in her face. So you got outplayed. But you didn't get outplayed because you started in a bad spot. You just got outplayed. And I can live with that. Those are the deaths that feel, quote unquote, earned. But that's been the vast minority of our deaths so far, where instead we're just kind of catching ourselves in the open. Mechanically, what you're doing with cooldowns, honestly, has been mostly fine. Maybe some situations where we're ducking behind cover, ironically, in a weird twist of fate, too often when there's no real threat and we could just be spamming primary fire. My buddy Stefano's always yelling at me about that, and I do think it's an important point. But that happened only a few times. I by far think the biggest thing is just your general vague focus on how you're positioning. And I think that needs to be cleaned up. That's a huge, huge, huge problem and has cost you, I mean, at least half of your deaths have come just from that. Just from that. Lifeweaver in defense, open up your sightline. It's fine. I wouldn't mind you just DPSing here, using your spread, using your projectile speed, and really only using the pedal once you're actually under risk. You don't need height here at all. This doesn't give you a better sightline on your team necessarily. It doesn't give you safety that's actually necessary because nothing's really pressuring you right now. And what it actually does is it compromises the amount of damage output, the frontline output that you do when you can pause your healing. So it's really important for Lifeweaver in these open trades, again, when there's not a sniper duel, to get some of this early, remember, basically zero spread, right, for the first several bullets, and now even faster projectile speed. Hold this sucker here. Ram starts to push, you pedal yourself up to safety, and then you can start to heal pocket a little bit. But this is true heal botting when there isn't really a need for it. And then when you're trying to damage, case in point, your vision is really bad. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, that was a little delayed there. Lifeweaver is a tempo character, and the fact that if you don't hit those timings correctly with both pedal and life grip, your value plummets. And that's why it takes a lot of preparation and quick reaction speed. This is absolutely damage town. Like right here, you do almost Zenyatta levels of damage on this fat of a target this close. It is ridiculous the amount of damage that Lifeweaver can do right here, and it is offensive that you're not doing more of it. There you go. Took you a little bit too long though. Utilize that, especially as of the recent patch that is super, super strong. Okay. Break the pedal, take the vision. Again, you notice how far back you're playing. That's not something that you should be doing with Lifeweaver without intention. So let me ask you a question, viewers and student. When would Lifeweaver want to position here? And what circumstances? What compositions? What heroes? Maybe dive, right? A Winston. Maybe a Tracer's giving you some fits, right? Maybe a Widowmaker that is really oppressive on that choke, but you still want to be able to pocket and poke the tank, right? Like, you can't just turn your brain off in position with this character. You got to squeeze every ounce of value that you can out of pre-fight pressure, out of shooting the ram, out of pocketing your team, out of not using your pedal because you don't need it, right? So really, Lifeweaver has pedal, but he doesn't need pedal. And if anything, pedal makes your position and your general pressure output worse here. So don't use it. So just because you have it doesn't mean that you should use it. And if you have it, and you want to use it, then maybe you should be here, pedaling up here, tickling backline, playing a flanker, playing a distraction hero. You could literally do, okay, hear me out. Pedal here, do your jump, dash, and you toss your pedal about 3 or 4 seconds before you do this. So you pedal, dash, pop over, preferably with a needler perk. The needler perk, you won't have it yet, but yeah. Distract, pedal again, bounce up and over and do it again. Bet you never thought of that, did you? Is it good? I don't know. But you're getting pedal value. You're doing something uniquely that you could only do with pedal. Do you see how far away this is? So it just lowers your healing per second. Every heal takes longer to get there. It makes it harder to react. Your damage output is harder and tighter to spread because the longer the distance is, it's the harder to hit your shots with a projectile. Hey, kitty, we're going to put you on your blanket right now. I can't have you on my lap right now. Let's not get our claw stick. There you go. Okay. It's funny, you take a position, then immediately leave it when stuff actually happens, you know? So it's like you're being disciplined about your positioning, but you don't really know why. You're going through the motions, but you don't understand the context with which a Lifeweaver would want to hold here. Or maybe you do, it's just something that you kind of do on autopilot. Hi, listen, we can't be here right now. Okay. I like what you're doing right here. This is a spawn life grip. I think it's probably worth it. There's nothing, well, I mean, it depends on the ult situation, maybe. I'm not sure why you're pedaling that, but yep. That's again one of those situations where we're just kind of using the pedal. I like the tree. I'm a big fan of trees. Love trees. Aspen is my favorite. I think because of the bark is weird. Tree is just a good ult to use when things get hectic. It's got a big scope. The overhealth makes it nice for offensive value. Your team kind of overcommitted here, which kind of sucks. This is maybe a situation where you pull up the old Spylo flank, you know? You got nothing to lose here. You're probably going to lose this, so maybe you do something a little ganky. I'm not going to beat the dead horse with this one. Like I said, I like trees. I'm a bit of a pacifist. Sure. Maybe you're playing this far away because you're tracking Kitsune now. There's no dive, but oh, they're going to get Kitsune or Ramatra ult or Juno ult to choke, so I'm playing further back to be able to catch the engage. Do you think about that? So now all of a sudden, maybe this position is good. See, these are the things that you have to be thinking about with Lifeweaver. Intergalactic Emperor, good sight lane vision on the enemy team is a great first step for new Lifeweaver players. I understand what this character can do. But when we think about when is it far back too far? When is close good? When is flanking good? I like this position now, given the ultimate context. You cannot and should not be rotating away. The whole point of you being here is so that you don't have to rotate away, that you're already in a safe spot. You're going to miss a pull here. Check it. What did I tell you? That position was important because it gave you the vision that you needed for that pull. Instead, you rotate away from a safe position to a location where you don't have vision and are unable to get the pull. That's your fault, not your Sigma's fault. So what's the problem? Is it AFK positioning? Is it ult tracking not translating into your positioning? Is it a little bit of both? Can you handle practicing both at the same time? That's a lot to practice. Something to think about. This is where Lifeweaver's skill is expressed. It is in the neutral pressure, in the squeezing out of details, but it is also conversely in the huge, big moments, those moments where one cooldown can live or die for somebody else. That doesn't make any sense. Can kill, can carry, or clutch, or crap. Okay, we're going to move on. You're freaking cooked. That's fine. All right, we keep going. Perk choice I won't comment on. I think it's probably like the 10 passive healing is too good. Also, the parting gift is just too funny not to have, you know what I'm saying? I actually want to fight off of that once. Only once. That parting gift. As in, I use somebody else's parting gift. There's something oddly... I don't know. I don't want to think about the biology of that at all. Is this position good? Does this provide you cover, vision, sightlines? Does this position make sense given the ult situation? Do you provide good offensive and defensive pressure here? Is there a better sightline for what you would do here? See, I look at this here, and I'm thinking if I'm playing here, then I need to pedal myself here and do some chip damage, tickle, and give myself better vision. Otherwise, there's no point in playing here. You get what I'm saying? Now a pedal could actually be useful for better offensive vision and pressure. There's no snipers here. I don't know what that was. So we're heal botting, but we could be doing more, I think. A little awkward here. I wouldn't mind some damage on that Ramattra there. I think you're missing out. That is an actual really good tank to shoot, because even with the armor damage reduction, you can still ruin his day. More than you ruin his, anyway. I really like the attention with the pedal here. And you can use that yourself, too. Because look at that. You're like, now I can't see anything, right? Use it yourself, too. Remember, your pedal is not just about staying in the back and living versus dive. They're not on dive. So you could open up an angle, open up a sightline, open up better vision, Papa John's, right? All sorts of options here. Pedal yourself. Yeah, there you go. Sure, why not? Who the frick cares? You almost got tree. You'll have pedal again. You'll have lunge? No. I mean, I guess you're getting some damage here. It's fine. So I guess you don't need the... Okay. You were like, either we're going to like element of surprise, big flank, or just kind of sit here passively, get extra little bit of chip damage. You know what I'm saying? You're okay. I know there's not a lot of cover there, but that's why you have the pedal right here. You pop it right here, and then you're good to go. Tree's fine. Still would have liked a better angle there, you know? So you can tree this, angle this, distract here, and then play your life while your team is winning on main, right? You don't have to do the thing where the tree is. You can have point of value here and point of value here, right? You kind of get what I'm saying? I mean, pretty reasonable discipline with your pull. You need to dash this. There's a couple of things here I've noticed where you'll get to about half HP and you won't use your dash. I need to see you use your dash more to regenerate yourself back faster. So this would be a situation where, like, post ult, I definitely use my my dash just to kind of get myself back to full. Yes, thank you. A little bit slow. We need to go up top faster. Okay. Rotation's a little late. Do we need pull here? We might need pull here. Keep an eye on him. That's tough. I think he might have had one. I think he had lamp. Oh no, he didn't have his lamp. No, he didn't have lamp. What is he doing? Okay, that's not your problem. He just jumped in the air. Yeah, I get it. I think he was down CDs. This point, I think it's a little bit too lost. Maybe you could have taken an angle there and maybe made some distractions off the backline. So what I mean by that is, like, as before this fight broke out, right about here, maybe this is a situation where you start to kind of rotate here and pop your angle here. And again, use your tankiness. Like, you are a tanky support. So if you are not currently being pressured and have no value for your pedal, no value for your dash, and you're 275 HP, you need to force that value. You have a permanent 10 healing per second on you. You have Needler. You have pedal. You have a dash on a low cooldown and 25 more HP at least than every other squishy that is on the field right now, with the exception of Cassidy. So maybe this is the play. You get what I'm saying? This is your responsibility. And this is something that a lot of Lifeweaver players don't think about, but that you use your beef. We need more beef, less coffee. Let's take a quick look at that other code here. This is Illari, so we have a few extra minutes. We'll give you some things to work on. Key thing for you, if I am not currently being dove, what position should I be taking? Where can I find value out of my kit? Whether it's through baiting attention, opening up sightlines, or simply improving my angle for just raw tank output. Use that dash when you get low most of the time. I like your trees. And maybe change your position depending on the status of the ult fight, or the ults. Let me know if you have any questions about any of that. Hope that kind of... I want you to be asking more questions of yourself and see where you go with it. You need to experiment more. Maybe that's the most important thing you need to hear. Illari. She's an angler. Takes an angle kind of by herself and just kind of shoots. Not a lot of complexity with this character. Immediately pivot out. Immediately pivot out. So when you're here, never walk out on main unless your team has gone right. You immediately pile on, heal, and start to swing here. Immediately. No hesitation. Otherwise, you get your pants caught down or you get spammed out in main. I like you looking at the Genji. Would have liked you to rotate into the Genji sooner. Let's look at the pylon here as well. Was the pylon okay? Yeah, you just needed to be there sooner. Yeah, I just need to be there sooner. That's all. You rotated the wrong way. You walked forward and then flanked. You need to go immediately. Immediately. That way you run with the threats head on, and they don't catch you with your pants down. Like right now, you need to be taking space right or left. Immediately. Walk forward. Walk forward and walk wide. What makes Illari unique is that she is one of the best duelists in the entire game when she has an active pylon. So you need to open up a safe angle, a safe sightline. I like this a lot. She's not great in compressed space, so you don't want to get caught here. You want to fully commit to here, or at least hold the corner or whatever here. You need to go quickly, though. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so you see how much better this feels? You're down one, so you're still going to lose, but you see how much more expensive this commitment was? That was 3 people, and you still might get the kill, right? And that was with a pylon broken. Nice job. A little slow in the rotation, but nice job. Teams left, you go right. Teams right, you go left. Pylon placement is not perfect. Would prefer it a little bit higher. Don't underestimate its range. Your team goes right, you should have held this. You should have held this and been very passive about it. Very baity, right? You're already here, just might as well stay. I like you destroying the pylon on the rotation, but this is not useful. This is not useful. Pylon has too little impact on these tank trades and is way too valuable on squishies. Not to mention your tank or brawl utility is really, really low. So whatever's happening directly in front of your screen is not always like, there's no anti-nades, there's no discords, there's just the ability to survive, live, and slowly whittle people down, right? Even your tank damage is pretty bad, right? So target priority is not the most important thing you should be worrying about, but certainly encourages you to hold angles. Oh, that's unfortunate. I really like your shots here. Looking good. Destroy that pylon. Rotate it. Just destroy it, destroy it. I guess it doesn't really matter because they're not likely to look there, so they won't put it on a cooldown. Excuse me. I think the pylon, I don't know which minor perk for Illari is better. It's actually pretty tricky. The one with the ult is actually opens up a lot of positions. What I would say is just experiment with it a little bit more. And you'll start to kind of see what I mean. But I think it's actually a pretty tricky decision. This is fine. You're with your tank, yes, which isn't great. But it's not something you should be actively avoiding if there isn't another angle available, because you actually have a DPS taking an angle here, but you couldn't get there, and you have a Junkrat taking an angle here. Now, you could put your pylon and poke here, but you don't have a lot of vision here, so that the enemy tank might be here. My point is that I wouldn't purposely go looking for the enemy tank, but you don't have to avoid yours. But you do have to be trying to open a sightline of something. So if that tank immediately moved... So basically, here's what I would do. As crazy as this sounds, if you see this here, and you see that enemy tank crunching down on your angle, it might be worth either rotating away or giving yourself a little bit more space. Because your impact in these trades is just really, really tough. Be very careful about overburning your resource. Looks like you pulled it just in case there. Good pylon, very good pylon. Don't burn it. Pop it. Wouldn't mind a pylon into doing this. So reposition the pylon to here and then pop it and then just kind of hold here. Really important. And be very careful about rotating in. It's not always bad, but you got to be really careful. It will get you killed. We'll watch one more fight. I wouldn't place my pylon at all, frankly, and this because you don't know where they're going to rotate to, and heck, you don't even know where you are going to be. Pylon early fight value is not really that important. There's plenty of chip healing between you and your Lifeweaver. It's not really a problem. It's more about these sustained messy fights when you're actively under threat, you know? In case in point, right? Like, it's something that you want to be able to drop. Like, even right now. Okay, I'm not going to hold here, so destroy it immediately. Destroy it right now. I think you did, but oh no, this rotation was really messy from you. Okay. Like even here, I might not even pylon just yet. I might go, okay, do I want to go here? Do I want to back off? And then place my pylon to mimic that position and need to do so quickly. Yeah, you see you can keep destroying it, which is fine. It's not the worst thing. Yeah, at least you're destroying it. But like now, this is probably where we're likely going to hold, but we needed to get there sooner. So instead of having to think as much about rotating your pylon 20 million times, instead allow yourself to only to focus on your setup first, then pylon there. You need to get out of here. I don't know what you're doing here. Wow, that was crazy. That should have gotten you killed so incredibly fast. Good try with the shots. It's just awkward. But a lot of this is a reflection of where you were positioned. Okay, main thing we need, Illari, just hold angles. You know, a little bit more passive off of that approach. There is movement. Let the pylon be placed once you've kind of anchored down in your position. You did a good job with destroying it when you rotated, but I think you can focus on the rotation first, then place it, and then you don't have to worry about managing it so much. I want you to be obviously cognizant of however many people are pushing you on your angle. If it's 2, you just need to live. If it's 1, you can try to take that duel. And beyond that, there you go. Good luck with your practice, mate. If any of this doesn't make sense, just let me know. Send me a message.